Oh, yeah. Nailed. Done.
Hey team, it's Daniel again with Brazos Valley Boars and Varmits. So today, we're going to be doing a review of my long-time owned N-Vison Halo XRF thermal scope. Love this thing. It's been great. Wonderful scope. Let's talk about it. Alright guys, so here's the N-Vison Halo XRF. N-Vison has three different scopes in their X line. They have the XRF, which is this one right here, X being the X line, RF being rangefinder. You can see I got some dirt over there. That's because I actually use this thing. And the one below this one would be the X50, which is the exact same thing, except where it doesn't have the rangefinder here, but it still has that 50mm lens with that really high-end germanium lens that they're using. They're using some of the best glass on the market. The one below that one, the X50, would be the X35, which would be the same thing. It does not have the rangefinder, but instead of a 50mm lens, it would have a 35mm lens, and then obviously the prices go down accordingly with that. But those are the three that are in here. So a little bit of history about N-Vison is that whenever they actually made their big movement into the thermal commercial market, their big head-to-head competitor for us end users was Trijicon. Now, Trijicon makes wonderful thermals. In fact, my very first thermal was a Trijicon. Actually, not really. It was an IR Defense, which is the company that Trijicon bought, and then started selling those scopes under their Trijicon name. But still, wonderful scope. And the thing that put them as head-to-head competitors was that N-Vison, just like Trijicon, uses the BAE sensor and core. And I remember talking to some of the guys at IR Defense who were saying that with using the BAE sensor and core, there's no way that you're going to be able to get internal recording. Well, guys, that's the big splash that N-Vison made with the X line of scopes. Whenever they started making these ones, they gave you internal recording of audio and video, both of them built right in. And I remember talking to that guy with IR Defense. I was like, God, listen, if y'all don't actually figure out how to do this, then somebody else is going to. And voila, here we are. And so that's what made this one, this X line, so popular, is that you can do this. Now, Pulsar, we all know, had the XG came out that used a BAE sensor, but they were actually using their own Pulsar core, and trying to get those two to interface is part of the reason why that one didn't turn out as beautiful of an image as the Trijicon and the N-Vison scopes do. But let's get off of that. We're digging way too technical into the weeds here. Let's just stick with talking about this one, because this is such a great scope all the way on its own. So again, on the very front, we have this 50mm lens. Beautiful, clean, crisp image. If you go a little bit further back, you'll notice that the focus ring does not exist. And that's because they use an infinity style focus algorithm. Now, it's not a fixed in that it's always just focused at infinity, but it kind of is. And what I mean is that if you look around at something that is way far away, it feels like everything is in focus, even exactly what it is that you're looking at. And then if you're scanning around and you look at something a little bit closer, in fact a lot closer, again, it feels like everything is in focus, even the thing that you're looking at right in front of you. And so it's not fine-tunable in that way. You can get a whole bunch of detail out of one little thing inside of a narrow field of depth, but everything's in focus. So there's a little bit of trade-off there. You know, there have been times where I want to play with my focus because this animal is moving fast, and if I want to get a good, clean, crisp image, because of how fast it's moving, I got to adjust my focus, and now there's more things I got to mess with. With this one, sure, you can't fine-tune it, but it's always in focus. So that may feel like a little bit of a drawback that you can't fine tune it, but guys, for the longest time, this has been considered the best thermal imaging on the market. So don't let that scare you away. This creates a beautiful picture. I love this thing. Now, it does have a base power of 3.5 magnification. And that is a little bit much. You know, if you're going to be hunting in tight quarters, you know, if you're going to be off in the swamp with the pigs, you know, that 3.5 is going to feel quite a bit much, maybe more than you really want to run. However, at the same time, if you're looking in open fields, you know, you got an open cattle pasture, you got some power lines that are just running that straight sendero, this is all going to be wonderfully wanted, that you have that higher magnification of 3.5. So it just kind of depends on what area, what geography you're going to be hunting in. So it is 3.5. That is something to think about. But as far as back to the internals, you do have a 12 micron image. You do have multiple zeros. You get 4 of those. So again, thank you very much. You don't get color palettes, so you can't go through all the weird sepia and rainbow and green and purple and violet and ultra hot. You don't get all those, and you don't have the colored reticles. That may be something that I hope N-Vision comes out with later on, but as of right now with this, you don't get that. Now you do get to where your reticle switches color, so if you're on white hot, then when you put your crosshairs on it, instead of your crosshairs being white, it goes black on a white target, or vice versa. If you're running black hot, then your crosshairs go white. So that is helpful. So that way it does make your crosshairs kind of pop out at you. So that's nice. But no, you don't get to pick green, yellow, blue. You just don't get that with these. But at the same time, I don't really miss it. It's not a problem. I love this thing. Over to the side over here, you'll notice obviously we have the laser rangefinder. This is rated out to 1,000 yards. I was able to replicate that. In fact, I got 998 yards, which feels about right, especially by comparison to the fact that I used a regular high quality daytime laser rangefinder, and it said the exact same thing. So this is great. The detection range claims it to be out to 2,000. Again, that feels about right. Obviously, I can't range that far with this one. And if 2,000 yards isn't enough for you, man, just get a little bit closer, because that is a long ways away. Obviously, right behind this big box, you've got this other compartment, and this is obviously going to be where your batteries go. N-Vision, thank you for giving us 18650s. So many companies want you to use their proprietary battery, which I understand is one of the biggest problems that people have whenever they're using their thermal, and they call in and say, "Oh, I got this problem." If you're having to use throwaway or rechargeable batteries, the first question you get asked is, what kind of batteries are you using? And other companies control that by giving you a proprietary battery that they know works a certain way, and you didn't get a cheap or a junk one. But at the same time, those are $100. These 18650s barely cost anything. So you can have a pocket full of these and run all night long and still never spend $100 on a proprietary battery. So thank you for doing this. I'm so happy that y'all did this. That is just a wonderful blessing. Because of this, they don't give you an estimated run time, because it depends on which battery with how much milliamp hour it has. And so on these ones, I get about 5 hours or so. That's a lot. That runs quite a bit, and I might have to change them one time during the night. And again, super cheap, easy to do. Again, thank y'all so much for going with the 18650 route. Back to the display over here. This is going to be a 640 by 480 AMOLED display, so the exact same sensor rate is what you're getting 1-for-1 on your display. And then let's flip it over to the bottom, and you see this ADM, American Defense Manufacturing, one rail mount. Now, a lot of people are going to, whoa, 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 it just has one rail on it. Yes. A $10,000 scope almost has a one rail mount made by American Defense Manufacturing, and the reason is it's good. I take this thing off and on my rifles all the time. Why do you think you got 4 zeros? So that way you can use it on different guns. I take it off and on and off all the time and recheck that zero, and it's had 0 point of impact shift, or at least not any more than I can hold, and I can hold a really good zero. So the guys, don't worry about this one-piece Picatinny rail mount. This thing locks in great. It holds wonderfully. It's got good return to zero. Don't worry about it. I've had no problems with this mount at all. And while we're looking at the underside of this thing, guys, this is a brick. It's got some heft to it. N-Vison says that this thing weighs 41.5 ounces, and there are very few scopes that are claiming to be over 40 ounces. This is not going to make a comfortable handheld scanner over the night just because of how much of a brick this is, but it's worth it because you are getting that 50mm lens, you are getting the laser rangefinder, you are getting this separate battery compartment over here, you are getting a built-in mount that, you know, on some scopes they don't even count the weight of the mount, and that's something that's already accounted for here. So this is I know it's 41.5 ounces, but you're getting a lot for that weight. And now let's come back to the top over here. You see there is this flap, and that covers up your data port. This is where you plug in to transfer all of your files out of. There is an ability to Wi-Fi to your phone, but I really don't mess with any of that, any of the apps, any of the Wi-Fi. I just transfer all of my files over from the plug-in to the laptop. That way I'm guaranteeing I have 0 loss of data during the transfer. They claim that there is 0 loss, however at the same time I just want to just get straight from the source, so I plug in right there. No connectivity problems at all. And then back here, oh, this is my favorite button layout. The compass style, the 5 button. This one has an indented home power button, just that central button here. And then after that, it's forward, backward, right, left. There is none of this 4 button in a row stuff where it's like, oh, well, there's that ridge here, and this one is higher than the others, or is that actually higher? Is that just because I got more padding in this glove? I don't know. Nah, man, you just find that home center, and it's easy because you feel a button and you just kind of move around and you feel like, oh, there's another button, but lower, oh, this has got to be it. You find that home center, and then it's forward, backward, right, left. There's no guesswork. This is, again, my favorite button layout because you're not trying to reorient yourself to what button your finger is on. It's so simple. N-Vison, again, thank you. You're giving me one of my favorites right here. All right, guys, I hope that y'all have enjoyed this review as much as I have enjoyed this scope. It has been a wonderful, wonderful thing. I love this guy, and I'm got some more reviews coming up about some more N-Vison stuff, and then also some things that are going to compare to N-Vison as well. Let y'all know what y'all think about them, help y'all make right decisions, and enjoy getting out there and hunting as much as we do. All right, guys, take care, love you, and remember, it's always hog season.